We're here in Haddiscoe, which is a village of about 250 souls. You can see behind me the nature of the countryside around here, but also you can see behind me remnants of a gravel pit that is very close to the village. The gravel pit that's been talked about on my blog is the one that is on the other side of the village, with the church very close to the edge of the pit. Going to be very close to the graveyard, I would say 60 metres. The parish council decided to call a public meeting, but a large majority of the people there were absolutely opposed to the gravel pit. So I felt it would be of interest to put that on the blog, to give them the opportunity of commenting about the gravel pit, which then could actually be passed back through to the county council, so that the county council had got first-hand information from general residents. I was delighted with the response to the blog. I run a website in my previous term on the county council, and I think I had 7 hits in a year. To know that just into March, and I think what's the 12th of March today, there have been over 300 hits on my blog in March. So I've been incredibly surprised, delighted.
I've had enormous positive feedback from people who would never otherwise have been in communication with me. In a nutshell, the process works. You do get to speak directly in your own words to members of the public that you could never otherwise access.
We have a large number of people who commute into London. We have quite a lot of young people, and those are the 2 groups of people who are the highest internet users. And they're the ones that are often the most difficult to reach, and they're the ones who are reading it.
You're going to be reaching people who will never read one of your leaflets, and you never know what ripples you might cause. One blog post might disappear, another might go halfway around the world.
One of the neighbouring schools to this, with whom we have a joint sixth form arrangement, has recently been put forward as an academy school. The academy school will be one of the first ones in Norfolk, and so it has been extremely controversial, and given my leading role in children's services, I've had quite a significant number of hits on the blog about that, and I've found it very, very useful as a means of communication and getting people in the wider community aware of what the issues are. So in a sense, it hasn't been a total time cost. It's actually possible, even saved me some time, because it is a good way of me communicating, which I'd have to find other ways of doing. And hopefully, as time goes by, I'll learn how to exploit that more, and I might even actually save time with it.
If the blog is to be readable and an attractive read, it's got to be humorous, or it's got to have a bit of an edge to it, or it's got to be something you can't read in the newspaper. It's got to be something you can't access any other way. Otherwise, there's no point in doing it.
I like to try and give an insider feel to what I'm doing in Westminster, but also to share some of the foibles of politics and some of the funnier moments which you don't read in the newspapers so easily.
It's also a very helpful process of crystallising my ideas. And by the time I've written them down, I've then got a way of thinking and describing what that issue is. And then when I'm talking about it to other people later on, I find the ideas have already been sharpened up through having written my blog about it.
There are several advantages I've found with blogs, because to get that wider publication, you can do things like press releases, you can write to the local media and so on. In this particular case, the local media is very pro, and yet my constituents actually were very anti. So it was a very, very useful way of getting those views published in that wider sense, which otherwise would not have been published. And some people actually asked me specifically to publish stuff that they couldn't get published elsewhere. So it's very, very useful, and I feel I'm serving the people I represent that way.
One of the big impacts of a blog, on a good day, if I write the right thing, is that it gets picked up by the press in a way that a press release wouldn't. The press are quite good at following blogs and just picking up snippets that interest them. It's possible to put the odd hook into a blog that will almost inevitably attract the attention of the press, and you can achieve this quite deliberately, to get things into the press, the media, that wouldn't otherwise have gone there. We've had whole pages of local newspapers that are literally just cut and pasted from the blog.
I couldn't possibly hold a surgery and be seeing that many people, or speaking to that many people, or listening to that many people, and listening is what it's about.
blogging gives me that opportunity now to have a much broader picture before my constituents, and I can offer my take on what it is and why it's important for people to get involved.
It is about having, in a sense, the power to actually say what you want to say when you want to say it. It's actually very, very heartening for people like-minded to actually come back and say, actually, I agree with what you're saying, even if it seems as though nobody else is.
The way in which I had decided to use the blog to give people the opportunity of contacting me or responding to issues has been successful, incredibly successful.
It's not difficult, but it seems difficult initially. You need to have an initial idea of where you want to take it, and it has to be something that has something in it for you to give you the motivation, because it can be quite time-consuming initially.
It mustn't overtake public meetings, the public face, meeting people in the street. But essentially, yeah, if a fellow councillor, indeed any councillor, came to me and said, what do you think? I'd say, brilliant, go for it.